Dew clings to the edges of rainforest leaves. Sunlight filters through the canopy, illuminating patches of savanna grass, dry desert sands, damp detritus from rotting logs and leaf litter. In these seemingly tranquil landscapes, an invisible world pulsates with lethal intentions. Little hunters. Without the casual observer noticing, they glide, slip away, and float. In this world, predation does not require size. Poison, ambush, large numbers of enemies, or extraordinary precision are their weapons. A single bullet ant produces a sting so powerful that it causes agonizing pain throughout the body. The army ants sweep the forest floor like a living tide, dismembering everything in its path. The killer insects patiently stalk. In these habitats, lethality is not measured by size, but by patience and precision. These are the deadliest insects that exist today. We begin in the Amazon rainforest. The damp ground, rotten logs, and fallen leaves create a mosaic of shadow and light. Every inch is alive and full of movement. In this intricate web of life, a single creature moves with deliberate stealth. The bullet ant, Paraponera clavata. At 3 centimeters long, it seems small at first glance, but its impact is devastating. Its shiny black exoskeleton, powerful mandibles, and bulbous eyes give it a predatory presence. Its venom, a cocktail of neurotoxins, is legendary. It produces such intense pain that it has earned the name the sting of agony. Patrolling the forest floor, the bullet ant moves methodically, its antennae moving in rhythmic motions. It hunts alone. Small arthropods, beetles, larvae, and termites must carefully navigate this tiny challenge. When it detects a target, the ant attacks with a lightning-like reflex. The mandibles clamp shut. The stinger injects venom into the soft tissue. A small victim twitches, instantly paralyzed. The ant lifts its prize, drags it to a secluded corner of the ground, and begins the slow process of consumption. The land is sacred. As it moves, the ant leaves a trail of pheromones. Nestmates that follow these chemical signals avoid danger. And predators learn quickly. Proximity to this hunter inevitably has consequences. A whisper in the fallen leaves, a vibration in the ground. Threats are dealt with instantly. The blow is precise, painful, and absolutely effective. Life in the colony is an invisible parallel to the hunter's solitary forays. Hundreds of worker bees occupy underground chambers, each tunnel lined with smooth earth, each chamber designated for larvae, eggs, or the queen. During colony expansion, swarming behavior transforms the forest floor. The worker bees carefully transport the larvae, delicately navigating roots and stones, ensuring the survival of the next generation. Pheromones coordinate this effort. The daily routines are relentless. Dawn brings with it the search for food, exploring the ground, the leaf litter, and decaying logs. The afternoon is marked by periods of rest. Even when darkness descends upon the rainforest, the forest floor teems with unseen life. Beneath the canopy, the bullet ant colony pulses like a living organism. Narrow tunnels snake beneath the damp earth, roots, and fallen trunks. Inside, the echoes of the jaws clicking resonate through the compacted earth. Worker ants scurry about, carrying microscopic insect fragments, nectar droplets, and fungal spores to the pale, wriggling larvae lining the chambers. The larvae are then rotated, cleaned, and fed with meticulous care. One wrong move could crush a developing ant. Outside, the forest floor is a labyrinth of leaves, twigs, and roots. Bullet ants move in silent lines, their antennae constantly moving and their legs skimming the ground to detect vibrations. Their vision is limited, but all their senses are amplified. Chemical signals, tactile feedback, and even subtle air currents guide each patrol. When a prey insect approaches the attack area, the ant attacks. Inside the nest, the larvae grow slowly. As the months pass, the tunnels expand, branching out beneath roots, rocks, and decaying logs. New chambers are excavated in the earth, ventilation shafts form naturally as the soil shifts, and the colony's structure becomes a labyrinth of organized complexity. When the colony reaches a critical mass, the pulse of life accelerates. Swarming behavior begins. This is a spectacular exodus of worker and soldier ants, carefully coordinated by chemical trails and subtle vibrations. The groups disperse across the rainforest floor, each line of ants searching for new territory, following humidity, prey abundance, and soil composition. The winged males and virgin queens prepare for their nuptial flights. This ensures genetic dispersal and the survival of the species. Even the environment reacts to their presence. Other insects avoid the bright lines of black and red warriors. Small predators hesitate, wary of the mandibles and the venom. Daylight brings no respite. Sunlight warms the forest floor and activity intensifies. The search for food extends to scattered patrols, leaf litter and ground vibrations, guiding their movements. The ants overcome obstacles. Fallen branches, rotting logs and shallow streams, all arranged with astonishing coordination. They communicate through subtle antennal touches, tactile vibrations, chemical signals. At night, the patrols continue under the cool shadows. Soldiers guard the chamber entrances, legs raised and mandibles open. The queen, hidden deep within the central chamber, remains virtually undisturbed, surrounded by workers who feed, clean and rotate the larvae. The sting of the bullet ant is both a weapon and a signal. Predators that approach the nest, such as spiders, frogs, and even curious mammals, encounter a wall of mandibles tipped with venom. When hunting, the ant uses the venom to immobilize its prey, dragging it through the labyrinthine tunnels to feed the brood. Throughout the seasons, the colony evolves with the forest. The rain swells the soil, forcing the ants to build new tunnels. Decaying logs shift, roots grow, and microhabitats change, but the ants adapt seamlessly. Chambers are reinforced, tunnels are redirected, and the brood is carefully relocated. The larvae mature slowly, feed and rotate until pupation. Meanwhile, the workers continue their relentless patrols. Today, as the shadows lengthen and the humidity rises, the bullet ant briefly retreats beneath the leaves, antennae twitching and eyes alert. It waits, ready for the next disturbance, a fallen insect, a rival, or the slightest vibration. Dawn will bring patrols once more. Meanwhile, not far away. The rainforest floor trembles with an invisible movement. Beneath a canopy woven with countless layers of greenery, life beats in every crack. Each piece of leaf litter, each fallen log. A faint whisper grows louder. A gentle vibration that travels through the soil and debris. Then it begins, a spring tide, a river of countless legs, jaws gleaming in the filtered light. These are army ants, Eciton bocelli. Individually, each one measures barely a centimeter. They are common, almost invisible. Together they become a force of nature, a coordinated storm that sweeps the forest floor. At the head of a hunting column, the workers advance in precise lines. The antennas are constantly moving, scanning, probing, and detecting chemical traces. The mandibles snap and snap, ready for the kill. The swarm moves with terrifying synchronicity. Tiny insects, slippery beetles, and unsuspecting crickets are caught instantly. The jaws pierce, cut, and dismember with dizzying efficiency. The dam has no chance. The swarm overwhelms him, destroying him in seconds. Even small reptiles, frogs, and baby birds fall victim to this relentless wave. Soldiers flank the columns with larger bodies, thicker mandibles, and longer legs. They protect the queen, protect the larvae, and form living barricades against predators. Occasionally, a jaguarundi's paw breaks the line, or a troop of capuchin monkeys attempts to catch ants. The soldiers respond immediately, forming dense walls with their teeth bared and their legs ready. The threats are repelled. The army ant colony is a bustling metropolis in constant motion. Essentially, the queen dominates thanks to her sheer reproductive power. Her enormous, swollen abdomen, almost grotesque compared to that of the worker bees, teems with life as she lays thousands of eggs every day. Each larva, small and vulnerable, is meticulously cared for. Specialized workers transport them from one chamber to another, rotating them, feeding them, and maintaining perfect hygiene. When the colony enters its nomadic phase, the forest floor becomes a theater of ceaseless movement. Thousands of ants lift and move entire bivouacs. They form ephemeral nests with their own bodies to protect the queen and her young. The trails meander, winding over roots, under fallen logs, through leaf-strewn streams, painting the rainforest floor with intricate and ever-changing patterns. The raids are the moment when the colony truly becomes a unique organism. The scouts fan out, detecting vibrations and pheromones. Upon spotting prey, be it a beetle, a grasshopper, or a small lizard, the convergence is instantaneous. The mandibles clamp down, limbs entangle, and the prey is quickly subdued, torn apart, and distributed among the workers for transport. Soldiers patrol the borders, bristling with powerful jaws, ready to repel intruders. The swarm flows like liquid black fire, unstoppable, adaptable, precise. No ant hesitates, no movement is wasted. Speed, coordination, and timing define survival. The rainforest itself becomes a stage for life and death as other ant colonies, predatory beetles, birds, and even small mammals are caught in the tide or forced to retreat. Resource depletion drives migration. Within hours, an area cleared of leaf litter signals the need to move. The leaders explore the terrain, leaving scent trails in precise chemical patterns. The soldiers flank them, and the workers follow in perfect formation. Each ant knows its role: scout, forager, or protector. At night, the bivouacs are transformed into temporary fortresses. Despite the apparent chaos, the colony moves as a single entity. Daily life is a rhythm of movement, attack, and sustenance. Dawn brings new hunts as the temperature and humidity favor the ants' activity. Soldiers constantly patrol while workers deploy in precise lines. At midday, the tide goes out, the lines shorten, and the colony rests in shaded areas. The afternoon revives activity. The queen, though motionless for much of the day, is the linchpin of the colony's existence. Each egg she lays is a calculated investment in the colony's future. Thousands will hatch, develop, and join the assault columns, maintaining the swarm's relentless momentum. Without it, the coordinated force would collapse. Predation is constant, but the collective strategy of soldier ants mitigates the risk. Soldier ants sacrifice their positions to protect vital individuals, form living barricades around the larvae, and intercept predators before they reach the core of the swarm. Workers move backward or forward based on chemical signals. The impact on the rainforest ecosystem is profound. The trails of invasive ants leave a small massacre in their wake. Insects uprooted, small vertebrates stolen, soil disturbed. Birds perch on the upper branches, watching for falling prey. Other ant colonies move, avoiding the destructive tide. Over the course of weeks, the colony's movements trace invisible roads through the rainforest. The nomadic phases involve a slow movement from one feeding area to another. The stationary phases allow for the development of breeding and the maintenance of the bivouac. The combination of mobility and permanence ensures both survival and expansion. The colonies thrive because the workers hunt tirelessly. The soldiers defend tirelessly. The queen lays eggs without ceasing. Even in the darkest shadows beneath the dense canopy, the living tide never truly rests. Some worker bees explore at night, antennae twitching and mandibles at the ready. Vibrations in the leaf litter, the slightest movement trigger swift reactions. The prey is consumed, the threats repelled, the young protected. As sunlight fades through the canopy, the living tide slows, retreating to shaded corners under logs and leaves. Soldiers form protective walls, workers gather near the bivouac, and larvae rest safely in the center. The queen rests briefly, and her egg-laying is synchronized with the needs of the colony. Night brings vigilance, subtle movements, twitching antennae, and jaws flexing in alertness. Dawn will awaken another wave of hunting, a new surge of the living tide, continuing the ceaseless rhythm of predation, defense, and survival. Further north, the forest soil of eastern North America is awakening. The sun's rays pierce the canopy, illuminating the fallen leaves, branches covered in moss, the tangled roots of ancient oaks and maples. The air buzzes with life, the trill of the cicadas, the whisper of small mammals among the undergrowth, the silent vibrations of countless insects crawling invisibly through the leaf litter. Here, a solitary, almost invisible predator awaits. Its body is armored, elongated, mottled with brown and grey, with a distinctive cogwheel-shaped crest, a wheel-shaped shield on its chest. This serves both as a warning and as camouflage. Its front legs are raptorial, designed for precision strikes. The antennas are constantly moving, detecting vibrations imperceptible to the human ear. With dark, bright, unblinking eyes, the wheelbug, Arilus cristatus, observes the forest floor, measuring every subtle movement. Patience defines its existence. Motionless, it blends into the leaf litter. A grasshopper jumps nearby, unaware of the danger. Each step produces vibrations that are transmitted through leaves and twigs. The wheelbarrow detects them instantly. Tiny sensory hairs along its legs and antennae act as detectors, transmitting every tremor, every movement to its central nervous system in milliseconds. The predator flexes its front legs. The curved claws are ready. Its proboscis, a long, needle-shaped organ, trembles with anticipation. The attack is a marvel of biomechanics. With a sudden lunge, the forelegs squeeze the unsuspecting prey, immobilizing it. The proboscis pierces the exoskeleton, injecting saliva laden with potent enzymes that paralyze and predigest internal tissues. The grasshopper writhes violently, flailing its legs but cannot escape. The wheelbug extracts the liquefied contents with deliberate precision. It doesn't waste a single drop. Throughout the day, the wheelbug patrols its micro-territory, rarely moving more than a few centimeters at a time. Fallen leaves serve as platforms. The twigs are strategic points. The mottled forest floor provides perfect concealment. Each perch is chosen for its optimal strategic position, access to prey, and safety from predators. Birds peck cautiously, frogs leap nimbly, wary of the ambushed predator looming above them. Survival demands invisibility, patience, and calculated precision. The wheelbug is not a hasty hunter. Their existence revolves around timing, sensory acuity, and stealth. Tiny vibrations in the leaf litter signal the approach of prey. The chemical signals of ants, beetles, and caterpillars are detected by fine sensory hairs and antennae. The insect adjusts its posture, tilts its body, and flexes its front legs in anticipation. When its prey is within range, it attacks with astonishing speed, faster than the eye can perceive. Muscles contract explosively, claws snap shut, proboscis pierces, and paralysis sets in instantly. The entire process lasts only a few seconds. Daily activity ebbs and flows according to environmental cues. Morning humidity, midday heat, and the rustling of leaves all influence prey activity. Rain amplifies chemical trails and vibrations, sometimes increasing hunting efficiency, sometimes forcing the insect to seek refuge on protected perches. The wheelbug spends hours in stillness. It blends perfectly into its surroundings, waiting for the opportunity to attack. The eggs are laid with great care, hidden in the smallest crevices the forest offers. Under the curled leaves, concealed from prying eyes, the females deposit clusters in the shade, where the humidity keeps the shells strong. Cracks in the bark offer shelter from wind and rain. The shallow depressions in the ground provide camouflage and protection from predators. Each egg is subtly covered with debris or plant matter, blending seamlessly into the environment and becoming invisible to birds, rodents, and other insects. The placement is strategic. When the nymphs emerge, food is plentiful and accessible. The tiny vibrations of nearby insects signal safety and opportunity. When the eggs hatch, the minuscule nymphs are already miniature versions of their parents. Their bodies, mottled with brown and grey, mimic the textures of leaf litter and bark. Cryptic patterns extend across its chest and abdomen. This is a natural camouflage that allows them to disappear even when seen. Instinct guides their first movements, but survival demands rapid learning. They spend their first days crouching in the shadows, stretching their front legs, exploring with their antennae, and testing their reflexes. They also launch their first tentative attacks against unsuspecting prey that is barely half their size. Molting is both a danger and an advancement. Each exoskeleton they shed leaves them temporarily vulnerable, but with each successive stage, growth and refinement are evident. Their forelimbs thicken and muscles bulge beneath the chitin as their gripping strength increases. The antennae lengthen and become more sensitive to the subtlest vibrations of approaching prey. The proboscis becomes more pointed, while the internal glands refine the potency of the digestive enzymes. Sensory acuity sharpens with experience. Minute movements in the leaf litter, faint chemical traces, and even the micro-vibrations of a crawling beetle can be detected. When they reach adulthood, wheelbugs are formidable hunters. Even prey larger than themselves can be subdued with a single precise strike, their forelegs clamping down like pistons as their proboscis injects paralyzing enzymes. Hunting is a combination of patience, precision, and strength. Every approach is calculated, every charge is explosive, yet measured. The nymphs feed without rest. Cannibalism, though infrequent, plays a regulatory role in dense populations, ensuring that only the fittest survive to maturity. Adults maintain micro-territories with subtle precision. Chemical signals, invisible to humans, mark the boundaries of their domains. A light rustling of pores along the leaves, a minuscule deposit of SC. Everything communicates a presence without inciting confrontation. Rivals detect the signals and often adjust their course, avoiding lethal encounters. This silent negotiation minimizes risk while maintaining control over prime hunting grounds. Over time, the cycle continues. Eggs laid in suitable locations hatch into nymphs that gradually expand their range. Each molt brings strength and refinement, and each attack develops confidence and skill. The forelegs, antennae, proboscis, and sensory systems mature simultaneously. Adults feed, reproduce, and patrol. As twilight falls, the activity in the forest changes. The temperature drops, the humidity rises, and the insect's movements slow. The stink bug retreats slightly, seeking refuge under curled leaves, behind bark, or in shaded crevices. Its antennae move with precision, its proboscis ready. The night brings no rest, but continued vigilance. The nocturnal insects, unaware of the silent sentinel, approach their attack zone. Even the briefest movements are opportunities for predation. Over months and seasons, the insect's life unfolds as a series of measured events. Every blow, every pause, every carefully chosen perch reinforces survival. The predator balances hunting with reproduction, molting with concealment, and energy conservation with opportunity. Through this persistent and deliberate cycle, the species maintains its dominance in a complex ecosystem. Meanwhile, miles away, across the oceans, the floor of the African forest trembles beneath countless tiny feet. Sunlight filters through the dense canopy. Mottled patterns dance across the leaf litter, fallen branches, and damp ground. Amidst this chaos of green and brown, a dark and twisted column begins to form, a living river of black and reddish bodies. Each one moves with mechanical precision. These are the driver ants, Africa's indomitable nightmare. Individually small but collectively unstoppable, they transform the forest floor. The larger, armored soldier ants flank the edges, their mandibles snapping, protecting the queen and her brood. The workers advance in relentless waves. The antennas sweep the ground, detection of chemical traces, vibrations, and minor disturbances. Small beetles and termites scurry away too late. The front lines of the swarm engulf their prey with terrifying efficiency. Mandibles grip exoskeletons, tearing, dismembering, and consuming. Even small reptiles and mammals are overwhelmed. Nothing escapes the tide. The swarm behaves as a single organism. Soldier ants patrol, exploring laterally, forming protective walls around the queen and larvae. Their enormous mandibles attack intruders. Frogs, birds, and even curious monkeys retreat cautiously. The workers maintain order, moving in disciplined lines. They respond to pheromones that dictate speed, direction, and aggression. Daily life within a colony of driver ants is ceaseless. Even during brief periods of rest, the bivouac, a living nest formed by intertwined bodies, vibrates with a hidden energy. The workers shift positions, adjusting the structure like living bricks. The larvae pulse gently inside the chambers. They are tended by the smallest worker ants, fed and rotated with meticulous precision. Soldiers line the outer walls, mandibles raised and antennae swiveling, ready for any intrusion. The queen lies at the center of it all, her enormous abdomen laden with eggs. She only moves when the colony moves. Even so, she is escorted by soldiers whose heads gleam like polished shields. Every step she takes disrupts the colony's rhythm. Its egg-laying rate accelerates during raiding periods, synchronizing the birth of new workers with the explosive demand of hunting. As dawn filters through the forest canopy, the colony stirs. A wave of movement travels from the outer bivouac to the center, transmitted through bodies, vibrations, and pheromones. The worker bees are the first to awaken, their antennae vibrating as they sense the air. The scouts emerge from the mass and disperse among the leaf litter. His movements seem random, however that is not the case at all. Upon detecting the faint chemical trail of prey or the heat signature of a recently passed animal, it sends a message through touch and pheromones. Within seconds, the colony erupts into organized chaos. The raid begins. The worker swarms surge in dark waves, their bodies glistening as they flow across the forest floor. Their formation expands rapidly, filling gaps, pushing through leaves, roots, and stones, never breaking the flow. Chemical trails anchor the flow, guiding millions. They all assume positions with astonishing accuracy. Some ants advance as the vanguard, others form the central river, the main artery of the hunt where the prey will be processed and transported. The soldiers guard the flanks with their armored, immense heads and their mandibles in a scissor-like position. Even the largest predators, such as snakes, birds, or small carnivores, must avoid this tide. The forest reacts instinctively. Insects leap from the leaf litter. Centipedes curl up defensively. Spiders flee upwards among the branches, but the ants are relentless. A beetle gets in the swarm's way. Instantly, the first lines converge. The workers climb onto its shell with their mandibles shaped like hooks and their legs gripping it. The beetle thrashes, kicking up dirt, but the ants adapt. One bites, another pulls, another injects venom. The fight lasts seconds. The beetle falls. A piece disappears into the column, then another, then another. In a matter of moments, only fragments remain. Elsewhere, a small lizard freezes too late. Soldiers grab its toes, then its flank. A wave of workers covers its body, immobilizing it with almost orchestrated precision. The lizard thrashes, flailing its tail in panic, but the swarm absorbs every movement. Hundreds of jaws cut, slice, and extract nutrients. These raids continue for hours, sometimes entire days, until the forest floor is devoid of edible life. When they find the last prey, when the scouts return empty-handed, when the tracks vanish, the swarm transitions from frenzy to cohesion. The energy of the colony changes. The worker wasps return to the bivouac with captured prey, larvae, or eggs. The soldiers slightly retract their mandibles and lower their antennae. The vital nest reforms as their bodies intertwine, creating a fortress of legs and armor. But this break is temporary. Driver ants are nomadic out of necessity. Their hunger is as abundant as their population. When prey dwindles, the colony prepares to move. Scouts expand in new directions, testing the ground, assessing moisture, and mapping potential bivouac sites. Chemical messages spread throughout the colony and direct the change. Then the exodus begins. The entire mass rises and moves as one. The queen, enormous and vulnerable, is placed in the center of a living cradle and carried along the path. The worker bees form protective shells around her, their bodies arranged in concentric circles, absorbing the impact of debris, branches, or other potential threats. The larvae and pupae are transported with the same care, carried gently between the mandibles. The column stretches for tens of meters, sometimes hundreds. They cross roots like bridges, curve around rocks like rivers, and even form living rafts to cross shallow streams. Each ant knows its role. Every movement is guided by pheromones. As they pass, they leave behind a transformed landscape, a sudden silence, a trail of disturbed earth, the faint chemical signature of conquest. The colony only stops when scouts confirm abundant prey ahead and a stable location to rebuild their bivouac. The structure rises rapidly. Worker ants hook their legs, intertwine their bodies, and form chambers and passageways. In a matter of minutes, the living fortress is back up, breathing, shifting, adaptation. Inside, the queen resumes her routine. Eggs hatch. Worker bees rush to collect them. Soldiers take their positions. The cycle continues. Plunder, feed, relocate, and rebuild. As the day progresses, the forest echoes with subtle rustles and clicks. The chorus of jaws, antennae, and little legs. Everything moving in perfect sync. Seasonal changes determine movement patterns. Rainfall, prey availability, and temperature changes influence the timing and direction of migrations. Entire colonies relocate several times a month, expanding or contracting their home range to adapt to the rhythm of the ecosystem. Nomadic phases guarantee new hunting grounds. While the stationary phases allow for larval development, there is also the maintenance of the colony's internal structure. Reproduction is a crucial event. The winged birds emerge from the colony in coordinated dispersals. Males and virgin queens take flight, drifting on thermals above the canopy. Mating occurs in the air, after which the queens land to establish new colonies. The cycle begins again. Soldier ants protect the parent colony, while worker ants ensure its survival until new colonies take root. The army's ceaseless march transforms the forest floor. Insects vanish in their wake, small reptiles retreat, and even larger animals adapt their routes. Even at night, the colony does not fully rest. Some worker bees patrol the outskirts, exploring new hunting grounds. Vibrations in the ground and slight movements of the leaf litter trigger the immediate redirection of the swarm. The queen rests, guarded by soldiers, laying eggs for the next generation. The larvae remain protected in the center of the colony. Even as darkness falls, the watch continues. Every antennal twitch, every jaw snap. Over months and seasons, the cycle of hunting, migration, and reproduction shapes both the colony and its environment. Every raid consumes prey. Every migration redistributes the population across the landscape. Each reproductive event ensures the continuity of the lineage. As the sunlight fades, the colony slows down, retreating to shaded areas under tree trunks and dense foliage. Soldiers form protective walls around the queen and brood, while workers huddle together, searching for any disturbance with their antennae. Their march may halt, but their vigilance never ceases. Dawn will bring another wave of hunting. Another relentless march across the savanna and forest floor. Back to the New World. The deserts and arid scrublands of the southwestern United States stretch endlessly. Here, the desert sun beats down mercilessly on the open sand and scattered bushes. The heat shines on the horizon. The smell of dry earth floats in the air. A predator moves among bushes and rocky outcrops. This is the tarantula hawk wasp, Pepsis grossa. Its iridescent, bluish-black body shimmers in the sunlight, while its bright orange, translucent wings beat with remarkable power and agility. Every movement is calculated and precise. The predator is perfectly equipped to subdue the giants. Even in the scorching midday heat, the wasp moves. Sunlight reflects off its metallic blue body, and its bright orange wings glow like embers as it glides low over the sandy ground. Each pass is deliberate. Its antennae trace patterns in the warm air, catching vibrations and mapping faint disturbances beneath the surface. The wasp is not simply wandering around, it's on the hunt. Beneath a brittle bush, the tarantula waits in its burrow, motionless in the darkness. Its legs rest lightly on silken threads that act as alarm wires. Yet not even this intricate defense can overcome the wasp's relentless precision. The wasp stops. It turns its body toward the burrow entrance, beating its wings. This measured, almost ceremonial moment lasts only a few seconds. Then it launches itself. It raises dust as it crashes into the spider's refuge, forcing the tarantula out. The fight is fierce and brief. The spider rears up, gleaming fangs. But the wasp responds with a lightning-fast arc of its abdomen. The stinger plunges between the spider's legs, sliding through the soft tissue. The venom flows with devastating efficiency. A creature capable of overpowering small birds and rodents suddenly collapses, its enormous body stiffening as it is paralyzed. Now comes the real test of strength. The wasp grabs the incapacitated tarantula and begins the long crawl home. The spider is several times heavier than the wasp. Even so, the wasp moves forward with a steady stride, pausing only to adjust its grip or flap its wings to maintain its balance. Hook-shaped tarsal claws for traction, a densely muscled thorax for carrying, a low aerodynamic profile to combat desert wind resistance. It pushes its way through the stones, uproots roots, and dodges thorny bushes, never losing its determination. Upon reaching the dug burrow, it pauses, almost contemplative, before descending into the darkness. Inside the chamber, place the tarantula with methodical care. It must position itself perfectly so that its young can access it. Then, with remarkable delicacy, it deposits a single egg on the soft abdomen of the immobilized giant. For the wasp, the task is complete. It leaves the burrow, push sand and debris towards the entrance until there is no trace of disturbance left. Beneath the surface, the world grows still. Days pass. The heat fluctuates between scorching heat and bitter cold, but inside the sealed chamber, the egg swells and finally hatches. The larva emerges, pale and hungry, guided by instinct. It attaches itself to the tarantula and begins to feed. First, the non-essential tissues. Vital organs last. This keeps its host alive for as long as possible. The frozen, helpless tarantula sustains the next generation until the larva matures, pupates, and emerges in its mother's image. Female tarantulas emerge seasonally, coinciding with tarantula activity and warm desert conditions. Each wasp is solitary, independent, driven entirely by the needs of its own reproductive cycle. There is no colony. There is no cooperation. Each day is measured in exploration, attack, crawling, and egg-laying. Environmental cues, temperature fluctuations, and prey abundance determine the pace of activity. Hunting is both an art and a strategy. The wasp never underestimates its prey. It goes around burrows, clocks powered by movement, test vibrations in the sand. It reacts to the slightest changes in the spider's posture. Precision is vital. If you move too far ahead, the tarantula might strike with venomous fangs. If you get too close, another predator or scavenger might spot the prey. The desert is a harsh teacher. Heat radiates from the sand, predators lurk, and prey is scarce. The wasp's wings beat with occasional pauses to conserve energy. Its long orange wings provide lift and allow for agile maneuvers to avoid potential threats or obstacles. Ants and lizards scurry nearby, curious but cautious, aware that the tarantula hawk's bite is lethal. Dawn brings cooler temperatures and increased spider activity. At midday, the heat becomes oppressive, forcing the wasp to rest under the scattered bushes, its wings folded but moving nervously, its antennae constantly sweeping. Shadows lengthen as evening falls, and activity resumes, searching, attacking, and dragging. The wasp lives without the comfort of a colony. The females are larger, stronger, and built for the violent art of subduing giants. Their bodies possess the strength to fight tarantulas, drag paralyzed prey through quicksand, and dig burrows in scorching heat. The males are smaller and less formidable. They rarely venture into hunting grounds where females dominate the terrain. They live a brief, almost ephemeral existence, feeding on nectar and avoiding conflict. Their purpose, though vital, is fleeting. They gather on hilltops or ridges, performing a silent aerial dance known as lekking, hoping to mate with a receptive female. Once mating occurs, their role becomes secondary. From now on, the weight of the species' future will rest on the shoulders of the female. The hunt continues, and we've already seen the rest. This isn't a one-off event. It feeds, avoids predators, and endures scorching days and freezing nights until the next opportunity arises. Thanks to its solitary efforts, a new larva has a chance at life. The tarantula hawk doesn't just kill. Its venom, perfectly calibrated, immobilizes without destroying. Its strength, perfectly tuned, maneuvers its prey through difficult terrain. Its foresight, instinctively precise, ensures that the next generation has sustenance. As twilight descends, the orange wings briefly gleam in the light of the dying sun. The adult may rest, perched on a bush or low branch, with its antennae vibrating and its eyes scanning. The larva continues its feast underground, feeding, growing, and preparing for its own emergence months later. Each generation begins its life in the body of another. Even when night covers the desert, the rhythm continues. The burrows conceal the next generation, immobilized spiders, their lives preserved within their robust exoskeletons. The adult wasps retreat to shaded areas, resting but vigilant, antennae twitching and wings ready for the next hunt. Dawn will bring another cycle of emergency, tracking, hitting, and dragging. Meanwhile, in southern Canada, the surface of a freshwater pond sparkles in the morning sun. The fog rises from the water and curls over the reeds and submerged vegetation. Beneath this tranquil surface, life teems in secret, hidden from view. Among the murky shadows and floating detritus hides a predator perfected by evolution. This is the giant water bug, Lithoceros americanus. Its flat, broad body glides silently among stems and leaves, mottled with brown and green, like a ghost in the aquatic weeds. Its long, paddle-like legs move smoothly, steering it with an eerie grace. The eyes protrude above its flattened head, black, thoughtful, scanning every wave, every flicker of movement. Patience defines his hunt. The insect lies motionless among dead leaves, algae, and submerged branches. Small fish dart by, tadpoles sway near submerged limbs, and insects skim the water's surface. The giant aquatic insect waits, its face, a sharp, tubular beak, hovers inches from its target. A slight vibration indicates the proximity of prey. The muscles curl up, then explosive movement. The snout advances with precision, piercing scales or exoskeleton and injecting potent digestive enzymes. Paralysis and predigestion occur in an instant. The prey twitches once, then remains still, its tissues liquefying from the inside out. Strength meets technique as the insect drags its victim beneath the surface. His legs kick with force, and the oars propel him through thick waters filled with rotting leaves. The captured fish or frog anchors itself to submerged vegetation, held firmly in place while digestive enzymes continue their work. Slow sips of liquefied flesh are taken with meticulous efficiency, each meal a feast that provides sustenance for days. The insect is both predator and executioner, ruthless but methodical. During the day, it subtly shifts its position, allowing it to hide from larger predators, herons, raccoons, or curious humans. Its mottled exoskeleton blends seamlessly with reeds and algae, a living camouflage that renders it nearly invisible. Even the smallest wave or flash of sunlight is used as a signal. It positions its body for maximum concealment and alertness. In the morning, activity increases as prey is more abundant. The midday heat drives smaller fish into shaded corners where the insect can intercept them with minimal effort. Twilight brings a final flurry of attacks before nightfall. During this hour, it becomes almost indistinguishable from the detritus it inhabits. Even at rest, its antennae contract, its eyes scan, and its legs remain ready for rapid propulsion. These macrocycles are intertwined with reproduction and seasonal change. In summer, the males protect the eggs deposited on emergent vegetation above the waterline. The females carefully attach the translucent spindle-shaped eggs to reeds and plant stems, ensuring their oxygenation and protection. The male remains vigilant, standing on the water's surface with his legs spread and wings slightly raised. It aerates the eggs and protects them from predators. Every wave, every shadow, every approach is assessed. Any threat is repelled with a powerful, sharp strike. Hunting and reproduction are linked by the seasonal rhythm. Summer brings peak feeding activity, abundant prey, and ideal conditions for egg-laying. Winter imposes lethargy. The insect sinks into deeper waters, submerged under ice or mud, and its metabolism slows down to survive the cold months. During these quiet months, the predator rests, but it doesn't die. Energy reserves and the careful selection of hibernation sites ensure its survival until spring. The giant water bug only attacks when it is sure of success. Each prey item is subdued with lethal precision. Tadpoles, small fish, and aquatic insects are immobilized and liquefied, leaving minimal residue. Occasionally, it takes on slightly larger prey, such as frogs or small snakes, which requires considerable strength and careful positioning. The legs rest against the submerged soles. Rostrum strikes with pinpoint accuracy. The enzymes work silently while the prey is subdued. Secrecy is key. The insect's body lies flat against submerged leaves or stems. Its mottled brown coloration with greenish reflections contrasts with the algae and detritus. Predators above the water rarely notice its presence. Prey below remains unaware until it strikes. Even in turbulent waters, it adjusts subtly, legs bent. The antennas pivot, the rostrum aims to... All of this guarantees the success of the hunt. The males guarding the eggs are equally precise. Their wings are slightly extended, their bodies balanced, and their antennae scanning for threats. Occasionally they detect a fish or bird passing by on the surface. The male attacks swiftly and accurately, piercing the intruder or alerting a predator. The eggs are gently moistened by water currents and body contact. Once hatched, the nymphs enter the water fully equipped with hunting instincts. They can go hours between feedings, but their availability is constant. Small ripples, faint shadows, and subtle movements trigger an immediate reaction. Hunting efficiency is maximized. The larvae develop in sync with the activity of the adults. Hunting independently, growing through successive molts, learning to survive in the aquatic microcosm. Everyday life is punctuated by moments of explosive action. A fish gets too close to a stem, its muscles tense, its legs pull away from the submerged debris, its rostrum pierces the scales. Enzymes immobilize, liquefy, and digest. All of this happens in a matter of seconds. The prey disappears into the insect's tubular beak. As the sunlight fades and the afternoon cools the water, the insect remains motionless but vigilant. The males protect the eggs on the surface, the adults patrol the submerged vegetation, and the larvae feed below. The cycle will continue, uninterrupted, with the passing of the seasons. Meanwhile, in Africa, The sunlight scorches the paths of the dry forest and the open savannas, baking the sandy soil until it has a warm, coarse texture. The air glows with warmth, and each footprint, every drop of sand seems magnified in the glare. In the middle of this sun-drenched expanse, a flash of iridescent green and bronze glides across the floor. This is the African tiger beetle. Its long legs propel it at astonishing speed, its tiny claws gripping irregular grains of sand. Its mandibles gleam in the sunlight, curved and razor-sharp, ready to crush anything in its path. The sun rests heavily on the earth. The tiger beetle prowls with mechanical precision, lifting and positioning its legs in swift, deliberate movements. Every few steps it stops, its antennae rise slightly, sweeping the air for any sign of movement. Its large, dark, compound eyes, almost absurdly alert, scrutinize its surroundings. Nothing escapes those eyes. Not even the movement of a termite's wings, not even the trembling of a larval burrow. It is not the nervous movement of an ant emerging from its hole. An ant appears, tiny and unconscious, pausing to savor the air. The tiger beetle descends, pressing its body against the warm sand, muscles tense beneath iridescent armor. For an instant the world stops. Then, an explosion. The beetle darts forward in a blur, splashes of sand rise behind him. Before the ant even perceives the danger, its mandibles squeeze it with scissor-like force. Death is instantaneous. The beetle lifts its prey briefly before settling down to feed. Its mandibles work methodically, tearing through the chitin. The hunt never really ends. It resumes in fractured bursts. I bet, freezing, reassessing the terrain. The tiger beetle pauses on a cracked stone, tilting its head as a faint tremor shakes the air. A fly larva writhes near the entrance to a burrow. The beetle darts off again, covering an impossible distance in an instant. Its shadow flickers across the sand like a fleeting phantom. Another clean hit, another efficient office. As the midday heat reaches its peak, the world becomes an oven. The beetle hides beneath a small ray of shadow. There it waits, legs tightly clasped and mandibles motionless, but stillness does not rob it of consciousness. It hears the vibrations of its tiny footsteps, senses the shifts in the wind's direction, and observes the long expanse of shadows that bend with the sun. When the temperature drops, life starts up again. The shadows lengthen, creating contrasting bands of light and dark that ripple across the sand. These visual cues guide both predator and prey. The tiger beetle emerges from its hiding place, its body gleaming with subtle metallic hues. A tick here, a glimmer there. The beetle resumes its patrol, running in bursts so swift it must stop mid-chase just to refocus its extraordinary eyes. It moves forward rapidly. It freezes, it calculates, it attacks. The story of every new life begins in the depths. A female selects a piece of warm, loose sand. It is usually hidden among clumps of tough grass or sheltered under a rock the size of a fingernail. There it digs a narrow vertical burrow that descends several centimeters underground, creating a pocket of cool air protected from predators, heat, and desiccation. Inside this shelter she lays her eggs, sealing them lightly with grains of soil. The days go by. When the larvae emerge, they are tiny monsters, pale, armored, and perfectly adapted for killing. Each one positions itself directly beneath the tunnel entrance, its body anchored to the walls by a pair of specialized hooks. Danger and opportunity are constant. An ant passes too close. A fly larva moves across the sand. The slightest vibration travels through the tunnel walls, and the larva reacts with explosive precision. It lunges upward, snapping its mandibles shut around the intruder, dragging it into the darkness. This subterranean ambush mirrors the adult's hunts on the surface. The dry, sunny months are peak hunting periods. Adults scurry at breakneck speed along open trails, their metabolisms accelerated by the heat. Larvae feed more frequently as insects pass near the entrances to their burrows. All creatures move faster in the heat, but when the clouds come together, when the rain hits the sand, humidity settles in the air, everything slows down. The beetle reduces its runs. The larvae conserve energy. The eggs are laid during periods of highest survival rates. The larvae develop during periods of abundant prey, and the adults emerge when the terrain offers warmth and plentiful food. On the surface, predation poses a danger. The birds watch from the thorny branches. The lizards lurk near the stones. Other beetles patrol the neighboring territory. The tiger beetle zigzags along open paths, launches sudden vertical leaps, or disappears into the loose sand with a flurry of legs. Its iridescent body, a brilliant green or bronze, appears and vanishes from view as it moves. Their eyes constantly scan, detecting predators meters away and triggering an instant escape. But speed comes at a price. High-speed hunting quickly consumes energy, and the beetle cannot afford to run indefinitely. It alternates between intense bursts of movement and prolonged, determined stillness. It waits at the edges of shadows or beneath sparse grass, looking, calculating, preserving. A single well-timed sprint is more valuable than a dozen wasted chases. Territory exacerbates this solitary lifestyle. Tiger beetles live without colonies or cooperative allies. Each individual dominates its own hunting territory, defending select stretches of trails or open sand dunes from rivals. Conflicts often begin over mating, bodies lifted, flexed jaws, antennas vibrating. A sudden dash may occur, often ending with a beetle retreating in a blur of legs. The fight rarely escalates. Dominance is established through confidence and speed, not prolonged violence. Beneath all this commotion, life goes on. Eggs hidden in deep burrows. The larvae launch themselves upwards to catch passing prey. Successive molts transform each larva into something stronger, faster, and more refined. Finally, a fully formed adult emerges from the sand, still soft and pale, waiting for its armor to harden in the sun. Once ready, it ventures into the world of blinding light. Here you must immediately learn to run, hunt, evade, and survive. There is no transition period. As evening falls, the air cools, and the sand loses its heat. The tiger beetle seeks refuge in the safety of the vegetation, hiding beneath a blade of grass or in the shaded edge of a rock. Its mandibles rest, its legs fold, its antennae move gently through the air. Night brings stillness but not silence. Dawn will soon return, and with the heat will come the swift prey. The bright paths, the unstoppable explosion of speed miles away. The lowland forests of East Asia stir with the morning mist. The sun's rays pierce through the dense canopy, illuminating dew-drenched leaves. Among the branches, a formidable predator awakens. This is the Asian giant hornet, Vespa mandarinia. Its body is enormous, over 5 centimeters long, with orange and black bands that gleam like burnished armor. Its wings buzz powerfully as it takes flight, slicing through the humid air with precise and controlled beats. Its eyes are dark and alert, scanning the ground and the forest canopy. Its mandibles open and snap shut, capable of decapitating much larger intruders, while a powerful stinger lies in wait, releasing a venom lethal to insects and dangerous to humans. The hornet patrols its territory, antennas sweeping, wings cutting through the air with a low, continuous hum. The forest buzzes with the late summer heat, the cicadas whirring in the background as the Asian giant hornet flies low over the undergrowth. Its wings beat with a deep, resonant hum. It's no casual wanderer. It's hunting. Beneath the trees, the hornet follows faint chemical trails, the gentle tremor of distant vibrations, the subtle aroma of honey and the young. Further on, hidden in a hollow log, lies their objective, a beehive. Bees bustle about at the entrance, oblivious to everything. Inside, thousands tend to larvae, stack honey, and fan their wings to regulate their temperature. Their world is one of order and work, that is, until the shadow passes over it. The giant hornet flies in circles, descending and describing a steep angle. Then, with a sudden movement of its abdomen, it releases a pheromonal warning signal. Minutes later, the sky vibrates with reinforcements. Dozens of hornets arrive. Each one is almost the length of a human thumb. It is decorated with fierce orange and black bands. They form an aerial circle, tightening as they prepare to attack. The attack begins. The hornets swoop down in unison, mandibles open and legs ready for impact. They pierce the line of guard bees. They split the thorax in two. The bees fight back with all their might. Some try to latch onto the hornet's legs. Others try to block the entrance with their bodies. But the defenders are overwhelmed. A single hornet can kill dozens of bees in minutes. Its armor deflects the stings. Its poison puts to sleep anyone who gets too close. In the midst of the chaos, the wasps attack from multiple angles. Each pass leaves a trail of fallen bees. The hive's frenzied energy transforms into panic and then into silence. With the defenders overwhelmed, the wasps begin to dismantle the hive. They open the wax cells to expose soft larvae and pupae. The young become food for their own offspring. Once the raid is over, the hornets return in a steady procession, flying low over the forest floor with heavy loads in their mandibles, bee thoraxes, larvae, and fragments of wax. Their nest is located some distance away, hidden underground. Inside the nest, the queen resides in the center. It is larger, heavier, and extremely productive. Its abdomen pulsates as it lays eggs in perfect sequence, each one placed with utmost care. It rarely leaves the nest. The colony revolves around it. The worker bees constantly tend to it. They feed it with food collected on raids and foraging expeditions. Their mandibles click gently as they clean and maintain the brood cells around them. The larvae writhe gently in their chambers, fed on precisely cut prey. They produce a nutrient-rich secretion that the adults lick up. The soldiers, more robust and with heavier armor than the workers, remain stationed at the entrance. Their antennae move in continuous sweeps, detecting every vibration or change in scent outside the nest. When threatened, they respond with a swift and cohesive reaction. On the surface, the worker bees divide their labor between hunting and maintenance. Explorers fly far and wide, through the ridges of the forest, through thickets of bamboo, across the rural fields, mapping the territory. They recognize landmarks, track scent trails, and return with almost uncanny accuracy. Each foray extends the colony's reach. Each successful hunt strengthens the queen's legacy. As summer wanes, the colony reaches its peak. The cells multiply. The larvae swell up. The worker bees intensify their foraging flights, preparing for the final shift of the cycle. The new queens and males mature in hidden chambers. Soon, they will leave the nest, mate under the fading autumn sun, and pass on their lineage to the next season. In spring, the queen emerges, find a safe underground cavity, and the egg-laying begins. The colonies expand in early summer as the worker bees increase in number and forage extensively. By late summer, the colony reaches its peak population. Swarm attacks on hives are frequent, repeated, and devastating. The winged males and the new queens prepare for dispersal. They leave their natal nest to establish new colonies the following year. The hornet's hunting technique is refined and methodical. They approach silently. The first scout's wings are barely audible. Their antennae detect vibrations and their eyes fix on the entrance to the nest. Speed and precision guarantee success. A few hornets can overwhelm a hive's defenses before others arrive. As the swarm forms, chaos erupts among the bees. Individual hornets push their way through the defenders, their mandibles severing heads and their stings releasing a venom that instantly immobilizes. The hive becomes a feeding area in a matter of minutes. Each hornet takes its portion and returns to feed the colony. Environmental cues govern their activity. Morning light illuminates the nests, but heat and humidity affect flight performance. The hornets rest under leaves during the midday heat. The abundance of prey determines the intensity of the raids. During peak feeding periods, hornets can attack several hives in succession, traversing kilometers of forest in their relentless search for sustenance. The precision of their attacks is lethal. The bees perceive the danger too late. Guard formations break down in seconds. Even after a successful attack, wasps remain alert. The paths used to search for food are remembered. Chemical traces and spatial memory guide repeated attacks. The colony adapts strategies based on the hive's defenses, learning from previous encounters. Seasonal pressures ensure efficiency. At the end of summer, the population reaches its peak, the demand for food increases, and preparations for dispersal begin. New queens and males mature, the wings strengthen. The colony prepares for the continuation of its lineage. Birds, spiders, and larger insects watch cautiously, aware of the venom and its formidable mandibles. Rival hornet colonies occasionally dispute territory, leading to aerial confrontations, rapid maneuvers, attacks, and stings. Despite the risk, the colony maintains its pace. The hornets rely on a large number of players, coordination, and lethal accuracy. As evening falls, the sunlight fades through the canopy, illuminating the dust motes and leaves with a golden light. The hornets return to the nest, wings folded, antennae twitching, and mandibles closing. The larvae are fed, the eggs tended, the soldiers rest but remain vigilant. The night offers a brief respite from the raids. The hunt will resume at dawn. Meanwhile, the deserts and sun-drenched prairies of North America stretch endlessly under a blazing sky. Scattered patches of scrub and coarse sand ripple in the heat. The horizon shimmers under the rising sun. In the midst of this austere landscape moves a predator like no other. The velvet ant, a wingless female, her body is small but striking, armored and bristling with dense orange-red hairs that warn predators of the lethal stinger she conceals. Her black eyes gleam beneath a striated exoskeleton, scanning the terrain. Each toe lightly touches the sand, each antenna moves and sweeps, sensing vibrations of distant footsteps. The faintest buzzing sounds of hidden insect colonies. Stealth shapes her world long before she reaches the nest she intends to infiltrate. She moves across the open sand like a drifting ember. Her glossy fur is a warning signal that most predators wisely avoid. Beneath her, the earth vibrates with faint vibrations, ant tracks, the whisper of the beetles, and somewhere deeper, the rhythmic pulses of a solitary bee or wasp caring for its young. It pauses, its antennae moving in slow arcs, savoring the chemical traces left behind hours before. The air is still. The ground is warm. The scent of the host nest is close. A careless crunch of gravel could trigger the alarm that ends the mission altogether. She circles a small patch of disturbed earth beneath a bush. A faint trail of scent rises from the entrance, signaling that the host has emerged to forage. The velvety ant leans forward, touching the ground with its antenna. Satisfied, it continues its advance. The attack is silent. It lowers its abdomen and positions itself with absolute stillness. Then it lays a single egg inside the brood chamber. The host larva squirms slightly. What began as a cradle will become a coffin, and the velvet ant brood will soon inherit the hidden chamber. It pauses only for an instant to ensure the location is secure before retreating. Withdrawal is no less cautious than approach. Every second outside its burrow exposes it to opportunistic predators. A lizard watches from a rock, its eyes fixed on the glimmering, wandering speck below. It advances, flicking its tongue, but then it stops. The velvet ant is not easy prey. She slips into the shadow of a stone. It disappears behind a root. He resumes his patrol in the dark. Morning is when it's most efficient. The cooler earth holds scents more clearly, and the shadows are long enough to conceal its approach. It investigates burrows, pointing its antennae toward the narrow crevices, alert to any sign of movement inside. If a nest is occupied, it flies in circles patiently, waiting for the host to leave. If it's not protected, it moves forward. At midday, the world becomes too bright, too hot, too exposed. She settles down beneath a brittle twig or the protrusion of a rock, and her whole body relaxes into stillness. Yet she remains fully awake. Motes of dust swirl in the warmth above her, and the ground trembles with the sound of distant footsteps. The stinger it carries within is not to be used lightly. He will defend himself with absolute conviction when he feels threatened. As the sun sets and the air cools, he awakens again. The earth softens beneath his feet, retaining the day's warmth, and new scents float in the evening air. The hidden nests become easier to spot as the shadows darken and the hosts hurry to complete their final foraging trips. She moves tirelessly like a lone huntress. There is no colony. There are no sisters, without a queen. Their purpose is unique and independent: to find nests, release the young, and ensure the continuation of the cycle. Their emergence coincides with the warm, dry months, guaranteeing an abundance of host larvae and favorable conditions for their activity. The juveniles disperse shortly after hatching. Predation is a combination of stealth, patience, and lethal precision. The velvet ant rarely confronts its prey directly. Instead, it relies on chemical signals, precision, and spatial awareness. Its antennae are constantly moving, detecting even the faintest chemical traces of its host. The legs adapt to sand and irregular stones. The mandibles gently explore surfaces and nest entrances. Under optimal conditions, the egg is laid quickly, ensuring the larva's start in life with a reliable food source. The velvet ant's sting is one of the most painful in the insect world. The coloration warns birds, reptiles, and mammals to keep their distance. However, females remain vulnerable while searching for nests. Their antennae twitch, their body posture is low and cautious, and their movements are deliberate. Even a single misstep can expose them to predation. In the dry, warm months, hunting reaches its peak. The larvae develop rapidly inside the host nests. They emerge as miniature predators with instinctive hunting skills. Females disperse, establishing territories and familiarizing themselves with the location of their burrows. Activity decreases during the colder, wetter months. The ants remain hidden under the soil or vegetation. They conserve energy until conditions once again favor hunting and reproduction. Velvet ant predation is subtle but devastating. Unlike swarm hunters, it relies on solitude and stealth. Its prey may never detect the intruder until it is too late. The larvae consume the host's offspring. Adults hunt with precision. As the sun sets, the heat fades and shadows stretch across the sand and weeds. The velvet ant pauses. Its legs fold, its antennae move with minimal twitching, and its mandibles rest. The landscape quiets, but the predator remains vigilant. The next day will bring new hunting, new eggs, and continued survival. Through deserts, forests, and prairies, the predators of the micro-world, hornets, velvet ants, tiger beetles, tarantula hawk wasps. They all possess a lethality that far exceeds their size. Their bites can knock down animals many times their own size. Their jaws can cut through chitin and meat. Its venom can paralyze some of the toughest arthropods on Earth. Even large vertebrates approach them with caution. A single Asian giant hornet can kill dozens of bees in minutes, and a small group can dismantle an entire hive. A tarantula hawk wasp can overpower one of the world's most formidable spiders. Velvet ants produce stings so painful that predators instantly learn to avoid them. These insects fundamentally shape ecosystems. Insects as a whole constitute more than half of all described species on the planet. The world's population reaches billions of people. Their total biomass rivals or exceeds that of humans. They regulate prey populations, recycle nutrients, and act as key forces in food webs, controlling the proliferation of other insects that would otherwise devastate vegetation. They are dangerous to handle, potentially harmful to humans when threatened. But its presence stabilizes biological systems. These are the systems that larger animals, including us, depend on. Its deadly precision is not chaos, but balance.